They're fast, ferocious, and hungry for meat. While you might feel safe watching them from a distance, if you're caught by one of these beasts in the wild, well, good luck to you, friend. Thankfully, there are ways to survive these feisty felines. Today we're ranking some of the deadliest wild cats on Earth. Each cat will fall into one of the following categories: might leave a scratch, threatening when angry, you're a large cat toy, dangerous and menacing, and finally, say your prayers. But don't cough up a hairball in fear. We'll teach you some life-saving tips if you find yourself face-to-face with one of these big kitties. And be warned, some of these furry friends might look cute and cuddly, but what they're capable of could scar you for life.
Long live the king.
I don't know about you, but Scar always scared me as a kid, and that's a cartoon. Imagine what a real African lion is capable of. You know what? Let me show you. Nicknamed the king of the jungle, the lion is not one to be messed with. Found across Africa, often in the savannas, lions can reach up to 11 feet from nose to tail, and some can weigh over 500 pounds. With the ability to run up to 50 miles per hour in short bursts, along with their incredible strength, the odds of surviving a lion attack are highly unlikely, unless you're packing some serious heat. To make matters worse, lions are the only wild cats who live in big groups called prides. They often contain over a dozen lions, but can be as large as 30 members, including moms, dads, brothers and sisters, uncles, aunts, and cousins, all living together. Family first, I like that. They're notorious for hunting in packs, which makes it easier to take down larger prey together, from herds of antelopes, giraffes, and yep, even elephants. As scary as the males look, it's the females you'll really want to look out for. Lionesses do the majority of the hunting. Either way, if you spot a lion, do what you can to keep your distance. They're fast, with razor-sharp claws and a powerful bite capable of breaking bones without much effort. If a lion spots you, stay calm, stand your ground, and do not make any sudden movements. You want to look strong and intimidating. Whoa, lion! Like bears, lions are known for doing mock charges. If this happens, try not to pee yourself and keep shouting at the lion. If it turns away, stop shouting, turn sideways, and walk away. But if they do attack you, you'll want to fight back. Aim for the head while protecting your own neck if possible, as that's usually what they'll aim for first. Although the odds aren't in your favor, people have survived lion attacks before, just not often. Although exact numbers are difficult to nail down, it's thought that lions are responsible for up to 200 human deaths per year, often the unfortunate result of those getting too close to their habitat. In 2015, a 29-year-old woman was on a safari tour taking photos when a lion lunged into her open car window and started biting her. Sadly, she didn't make it. If you're ever on a safari, do yourself a favor and keep your windows up. Lions are extremely lethal, so it's safe to say they'll be put in the say your prayers category. Oddly enough, they aren't found in the jungle despite the nickname. We'll cover the true kings of the jungle later in our list. But before we claw into that, make sure to like and subscribe for more incredible survival videos. The leopard is found in a variety of climates, from jungles, savannas, and in rare cases, snowy mountains. You can find them in Africa, China, the Middle East, and even Russia. Weighing up to 200 pounds and reaching 7 feet in length, excluding their tails, leopards can carry up to 3 times their body weight. They're known for bringing their prey up trees before they chow down, so I wouldn't bother climbing one to escape them. You can only imagine what they're capable of doing to a human. Not only are they strong, but they're also incredibly agile and stealthy. Odds are, you wouldn't spot one before it's too late. And if you live near their habitat, be extra careful if you have pets. In India, approximately 12% of this large cat's diet involves domesticated animals, which has significantly increased the number of attacks and deaths involving humans. And nearly 200 people were killed by leopards from 1992 to 2017 in Mumbai alone, and who knows what other attacks weren't put on records. Holy smokes, those poor villagers! Sometimes referred to as the spotted cat, the leopard is known for its yellow fur with black spots clustered throughout. However, leopards can also be all black, often referred to as the black panther. Although they're much tougher to spot, all black leopards still have prints. You just need to see them in the right light. And then there are their northern relatives, the snow leopard, which has lighter and thicker fur, especially in its tail. No matter which variety of leopard you come across, you'll want to protect your neck. That's where they'll usually strike first. But luckily, they're a bit more cautious than some of our bigger wild cats. They tend to go for smaller, easier prey, so keep your kids close. Like with lions, don't draw attention to yourself or try to provoke them. And once again, don't run. If you've seen how cats react to laser pointers, well, leopards love a good chase. I think it's safe to say the leopard has earned its spot in the dangerous and menacing category, but our next cat might be the best hunter of them all. Thankfully though, humans aren't on its menu. This little guy, believe it or not, is considered to be the deadliest cat in the world. Known as the black-footed cat, this kitty is a master hunter, taking down, on average, a dozen small birds or rodents a night. Found in the grasslands of southern Africa, these furballs are only about 1.5 feet in length and weigh up to 6 pounds. They've got quite the appetite thanks to their accelerated metabolisms. They're always on the lookout for a tasty meal, but don't let their 60% kill rate frighten you. They do most of their hunting at night, and if you happen to stumble upon one, they'd likely run away in fear. Still, that doesn't mean they aren't capable of attacking. Much like the common house cat, a good scratch or bite from one of these critters will hurt, but wouldn't be deadly. With that in mind, we'll place them in the might leave a scratch category. Like all cats, the black-footed variety is quick, but not nearly as fast as our next entry. The fastest land animal in the world. The cheetah is notorious for chasing quick prey. It's also a master at escaping predators. Capable of reaching top speeds of 70 miles per hour in just 3 seconds, their specialized muscles allow them to move in ways nothing else can. Even Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, wouldn't stand a chance. Ranked as the second most effective hunter next to the black-footed cat, cheetahs are masterful predators, but their metabolism allows them to go up to 5 days without eating. Wow, I knew they were fast, but I didn't know they could also fast like that. Found in Africa and parts of the Middle East, this spotted cat looks similar to the leopard, but is much smaller. Cheetahs are nimble and slender, weighing up to 125 pounds and reaching lengths up to 5 feet. With a flexible spine and muscular tail that helps with its balance, the cheetah can keep up with anything it goes after, changing directions at the drop of a dime. This is thanks to their shoulder blades. They aren't actually attached to their collarbones, which helps them move more freely. They tend to hunt gazelle, antelopes, birds, and rodents. But fortunately, human attacks are very rare. In fact, not a single fatal human attack by a wild cheetah has ever been reported, that we know of. If you ever do encounter a cheetah, back away slowly. If it continues to approach, make yourself look big by waving your arms and yelling at it. If worse comes to worse and it attacks, fight back. One thing is for sure, do not run. Even race cars struggle to keep up with them off the starting line. Given the lack of human attacks, cheetahs will be placed in the "you're a large cat toy" category. Our next cat also has a need for speed and blood. Imagine a house cat's head on a cheetah's body with ears like Yoda. Okay, maybe the Yoda part is a stretch, but the serval has really big ears in relation to its head. This medium-sized cat typically weighs around 33 pounds and reaches lengths just over 3 feet. Known as the cat of spare parts to some, the serval is part of the weird side of evolution, if you will. Along with its long ears, it has long legs, a stretched-out neck, and a tiny face. But thankfully, its diet mainly consists of small rodents, birds, and snakes. Honestly, if this thing was chasing me, I don't know if I'd laugh or run. All jokes aside, the serval is quite fast, capable of running up to 45 miles per hour. But thankfully, it isn't very interested in humans. Humans are much more interested in them, with some keeping them as pets. In 2018, a zoo in Indiana was hosting a birthday party and decided to bring out a 4-year-old serval for the kids to pet and interact with. Apparently, this was a regular occurrence for the zoo, but the cat seemed to have had enough of it. As a child reached to pet the cat from behind, it hissed, turned, and bit them on the head. Thankfully, both the cat and the kid were okay, but let this be a reminder to think twice about housing these cats as pets. Like any animal, instincts can kick in at any time, and for that reason, we'll place the serval in the might leave a scratch category. The same can't be said for our next cat though, which can be found throughout the United States and parts of Canada. Great. The bobcat is on the smaller side of our list of cats. And if you've been watching all our videos, I tend to say size doesn't matter. And trust me, for the bobcat, it really doesn't. Reaching just under 4 feet in length and weighing up to 40 pounds, bobcats may be smaller than you and I, but they're not afraid of us.
Karen Morris and her 13-year-old grandson were getting ready to walk the dog when they were attacked by a bobcat. Wildlife officers arrived and tried to capture the bobcat, but they were also attacked.
There have been several attacks on humans reported, which lands these pointy-eared predators in the threatening when angry tier. And trust me, you don't want to get them angry. Although most attacks leave painful scratches and bites, it's a confrontation most of us would want to avoid. As territorial creatures who hunt in the evening, bobcats usually cross paths with humans when they're going after their pets. But their diet normally consists of rabbits and small rodents. Still, they're also capable of killing animals up to 10 times their size, including deer. While all bobcats have black spots, their coats can vary in color from light gray, yellow, or a reddish brown. Like the lynx, they are known for their short tails and white undercoats. If you find yourself in a situation where you must defend yourself from a bobcat, you'll want to fight back as it can be pretty vicious. With the ability to pounce from 9 feet away from its target, your best option is, you guessed it, appear big, yell, wave your arms, and try to intimidate the cat. If it does attack, odds are you can pick it up and throw it away. Seriously, it worked for this guy.
He was able to grab the bobcat and throw it away onto his lawn.
It turns out that specific bobcat had rabies, so if you do encounter one, especially one that seems overly aggressive, keep your distance. If you are attacked, fight back and maybe get a rabies shot to be safe. And don't wait around. Trust me, we covered what would happen if you don't get treated for rabies in another episode, and, well, it's not pretty. If you hear this sound while out hiking, run. Known by many names including puma, mountain lion, and catamount, the cougar is a fierce hunter and one of the most widespread terrestrial mammals in the world. They live from as far north as the Yukon to as far south as the Amazon rainforest. Unlike lions, cougars are mostly solitary creatures and masters of stealth. They are the 4th largest cat species, standing up to 3 feet tall at the shoulders and up to 7 feet long from nose to tail. And they have the largest hind legs out of any wild cat, making them expert jumpers. They can jump as high as 18 feet to scramble up a tree. Unfortunately for us, they prefer hunting large game. Everything from deer, mountain goats, and moose. Unlike cheetahs, cougars prefer to ambush their prey. They stalk from a distance, hiding in bush, rocks, and even trees before leaping onto the backs of their unsuspecting victims. And like many of the cats on our list, they'll go for your neck first. While attacks on humans are rare, they do happen. Make sure you remember this. If you see a cougar, don't stand still. They'll consider you easy prey. Back away carefully, throw rocks at it, yell at it, and do anything you can to scare it off. Over 130 attacks have been documented in North America, with 28 being fatal. Unfortunately, almost all fatalities from cougar attacks have been kids. That's why they're going in the "you're a large cat toy" category. You'll want to be especially careful if you're visiting Vancouver Island, where their population is the densest. And if you live there, they might even pay you a visit in your backyard. But you'll want to keep your wits about you in South America too, because they have more than just cougars down there. Next on our list is the 3rd largest cat in the world and pound for pound, the strongest. The jaguar. Relative to its size, the jaguar has the most powerful bite force of any cat. Males can weigh up to nearly 350 pounds and reach lengths of up to 6 feet, crowning them the true kings of the jungle. Their size and sheer power make them an apex predator in the Amazon, where most of the world's jaguars live. As opportunistic animals, jaguars will attack anything and everything they could sneak up on. From deer to monkeys, snakes to crocs, and everything in between, jags will hunt on land or in the water. Capable of crushing a turtle's shell. Just imagine what a jaguar bite could do to your body. Jaguars and leopards are often similar in appearance, sharing yellow fur and spots, but a major difference is their size, with jags having a huge advantage. And just like leopards, they occasionally have an all-black coat, and can also be referred to as Black Panthers. Wakanda forever! Now, regardless of its colors, my advice would remain the same. Back away slowly and do not run, as it may chase. Keep your distance and get to safety. If one manages to pounce on you, protect your head at all costs. While most wild cats will go for the neck, jaguars prefer the head. Their sharp canines will pierce the skull of their prey between the ears, resulting in a fast and deadly kill. And chances are, you won't even see them coming, even if you're taking a nice dip. Needless to say, this cat is going in the say your prayers tier. But we still need to talk about the most dangerous cat in the world to humans. With the most recorded human fatalities out of all the wild cats, you do not want to mess with a tiger. Tigers can be seen roaming the wilds of Nepal, Russia, China, India, and neighboring countries. They're found across all types of territory, from rainforests to savannas to mangroves. Reaching up to 660 pounds and lengths of 13 feet from nose to tail, it's safe to say that if you're being attacked by a tiger, you're as good as dead. Given their size and sheer power, the tiger is also going in the say your prayers tier. Notorious for being an apex predator, tigers will eat anything and everything. From small rodents and birds to deer and even buffalo, they'll strike when the opportunity arises. Capable of leaping great distances and heights, tigers are not only strong, but also incredibly agile. They have razor-sharp teeth, a bite more powerful than a lion, and claws that will tear you to shreds. If you ever see a tiger in the wild, you'll want to do your best to stay as far away as possible. Now, I know we didn't get around to the lynx, the ocelot, or the caracal because, well, there's only so much time in a video, but we'll throw these up on our rankings too for fun. Generally, these cats won't go after humans, but they can still leave quite a scratch.
The sound was just so loud. Pow, pow, pow.
On October 3rd, 2003, Roy Horn took to the stage thinking his show would be as spectacular as the tens of thousands of performances he and his partner, Siegfried Fischbacher, had done before.
And tonight, this is first appearance at Underknown.
Things were going as planned until the unthinkable happened.
We kind of nipped at his hand.
And then Roy started tapping him on the snout or the head with the microphone.
And Roy fell over, and Manticore very quietly reaches over and picks up Roy like a cub. But you can't pick up a human by the back of the neck.
Following the horrifying incident, Siegfried and Roy defended the actions of the tiger they had raised since he was a cub. The two magicians claimed that Roy had suffered a stroke during his performance, and that their white tiger, Manticore, was only trying to protect him.
You believe that Manticore realized you were in trouble and just picked you up and took you off stage for help.
Yeah, that's how wonderful they are.
However, their animal trainer, Chris Lawrence, told a different story.
His actions in trying to possibly save the routine or rectify the situation actually ended up complicating it.
Why did their animal trainer think they were covering up the truth? Did Roy's tiger really try to save his life? And was this the only attack at one of their performances? Before we claw into this unbelievable story, make sure to like and subscribe for more survival videos. In 1957, Siegfried and Roy met for the first time as teenagers while working on a German cruise ship. Siegfried worked as a cabin steward and Roy was a bellboy and a waiter. During his time on the cruise ship, Siegfried began performing magic for his passengers, and it drew enough of a crowd that he was given his own show. Roy was absolutely mesmerized by him, but he knew something in his act was missing. Roy offered to be Siegfried's assistant, and the two began performing several shows together. With Roy's love and experience with animals, he quickly convinced Siegfried that they needed to step up their game. It wasn't long before they went from pulling a rabbit out of a hat to incorporating a cheetah into their act. Yeah, seriously, a cheetah. The duo continued performing at clubs in Europe for 5 years until they got their first big break in the mid-60s. Grace Kelly invited the showmen to perform at her annual Red Cross Gala in Monte Carlo. It was here that a Las Vegas producer scouted them and changed their lives forever. The dynamic duo was offered shows in Sin City at 2 hotels, and within a few years, they were regular performers. The buzz for their act was building, and so were the skeletons in their closet, but more on that later. After hundreds of shows over the course of the 80s, it wasn't long before they signed a record-breaking deal with casino developer Steve Wynn, worth a staggering $57 million. They were to be an integral attraction at Vegas's legendary Mirage Hotel. The contract secured Siegfried and Roy for 5 years, but this would be the start of one of the city's most successful shows ever.
The most successful entertainment attraction beyond Elvis or Frank Sinatra.
The partners would use their newfound fortune to purchase the Jungle Palace, a $10 million Moroccan-style villa, and Little Bavaria, a separate 100-acre property where they housed all their pets. Little Bavaria allowed their 63 tigers and 16 lions to roam freely. The animals had their own paradise, with access spanning from Roy's bedroom to the pool. It's important to note that none of them were declawed. But that didn't stop Roy from meditating with at least one of his tigers daily. This was just one of the many ways he would connect with the animals. Roy raised his wild cats from birth, using what he called affection conditioning to build a special bond with them. This included sleeping with the tigers until they were a year old. For Roy, they were family.
Not one of them has ever really turned on him.
No, I guess I'm very fortunate to have a good family.
He explained that when he was given an animal's trust, it felt like the most beautiful thing in the world. Unfortunately for him, that trust was broken on October 3rd, 2003, when he was attacked by one of his tigers. The night before their infamous performance, Roy celebrated his 59th birthday, along with Siegfried and their friends in the business. One of them roasted Roy about his age, suggesting he retired. Roy snapped back, he'll retire only when he can't do it anymore. In peak physical shape, Roy was known for swinging 30 feet above the audience and handling 600-pound tigers. Night after night, the two men would wow audiences without any issues. I mean, there was one time in the 1970s, but we'll get to that later. Given their success performing over 30,000 times alongside tigers, lions, and even elephants, no one expected their next performance to be their last. Around 8:15 p.m., about 45 minutes into their show, Roy brought out Manticore, a 380-pound white tiger born in Mexico. It's believed the tiger became distracted by an audience member and started making its way to the front of the stage. To calm the audience's nerves and get back to the routine, Roy joked that Manticore wanted to say hello to the crowd. Quickly, Roy stepped in front of Manticore, placing himself between the tiger and the front row, which was within striking distance. As Manticore continued walking toward him, Roy commanded the animal to lie down, but the tiger refused. That's when things went from bad to worse. Manticore then gripped Roy's right wrist with his paws. While trying to regain control of the tiger's chain, Roy used the microphone he held in his other hand to tap the tiger on the nose while yelling "release." At this point, the tiger obeyed Roy's command, but while struggling to pull himself away, Roy tripped over the tiger's leg and fell backwards. Within seconds, Manticore was on top of him. He then bit Roy's neck, shocking the audience and his longtime partner Siegfried, who tried to put an end to the chaos. Those who witnessed the show claimed that Roy was dragged 30 feet off stage by the neck, like a rag doll with blood pooling everywhere. Once backstage, stagehands used the bottom of a fire extinguisher to physically hit Manticore on the head, which led to him releasing Roy. The tiger then went right back into his cage. While waiting for emergency services, a crew member was able to stop the bleeding from Roy's neck. Shortly after, it would be determined that the tiger's teeth had torn Roy's jugular vein, narrowly missing his carotid artery, which would have instantly killed him. Amidst all the chaos and Roy struggling to breathe, he made sure those around him heard what some believed might have been his last words: "Don't shoot the cat." A trauma team was assembled at the University Medical Center in Vegas, and the show's producer, Kenneth Feld, told more than 200 cast members that the show was done. Forever. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but this wasn't the case for Siegfried and Roy. News of the attack spread like wildfire.
Breaking news, one of the rare tigers in Siegfried and Roy attacked.
The tiger that attacked Roy. Officials are reporting that Horn was attacked by one of those tigers.
Within hours of Roy's rushed hospitalization, people started to gather outside both the Mirage and University Medical Center, anxiously waiting for updates. Many brought candles and were simply there to support one of Vegas's most loved performers. At one point, sources claim Roy actually flatlined and had to be revived while on the operating table. Other reports claim he was near death 3 times, but somehow managed to be wheeled out of surgery and into another unit of the hospital within hours of the attack. His windpipe was crushed, making it impossible for him to swallow or speak. To help him breathe, Roy was placed on a ventilator. Unfortunately for him, this was just the beginning of a long recovery. The following day, it was revealed he had suffered a pretty big stroke, in the words of his doctor, and was sent back into surgery. To relieve swelling in his brain, a quarter of his skull was removed. He was also paralyzed on his left side, leaving many wondering if he'd ever fully recover. Roy's neurosurgeon, Dr. Derek Duke, told the press it was miraculous that he was alive. Just weeks after the attack, Roy was airlifted to UCLA Medical Center, where he would continue his rehab. By mid-November, he was taken off of a ventilator and his motor skills continued to improve. Throughout it all, Siegfried was right by his partner's side, as he was during their tens of thousands of performances. Given the significant loss of blood Roy suffered and the extensive brain damage, many thought he would need assistance doing the most basic of movements, including walking. To no one's surprise, the idea of the two ever performing again was hardly even a thought. But that didn't discourage Roy, who knew they still had at least one more show left. By late January 2004, surgeons had removed Roy's tracheal tube, allowing him to eat and talk. And like magic, Roy was moving and walking again. Things were looking up for the two Vegas stars again, but an investigation into their show's safety took a turn for the worse. This wasn't the first time one of their animals attacked a performer. In 1976, before Siegfried and Roy had a residency at the Mirage, the two performed at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. At one point, they were booked to work alongside a family of acrobats known as the Seven Alexanders. Back then, the magician's show involved a tiger, a lion, and 2 leopards, all kept in cages backstage near the rest of the cast. This included a 10-year-old named Sean Stanek, who claims he was attacked by one of Siegfried and Roy's escaped leopards just 20 minutes before showtime.
There's a security guard, he says, "You guys have to move. They're gonna start bringing animals in." And I heard a crash, and I looked, and I'm staring at the leopard.
The cat saw him, they locked eyes, and that's when Sean knew he was in a lot of trouble.
Fearing for his life, Sean ran down the hallway toward his dressing room, but the leopard quickly pounced on his back. He explained it felt like it was tearing at his neck, and with the help of his mother and other cast members, they got the animal off of him. When all was said and done, the leopard had bitten Stanek 14 times, leaving him with puncture wounds all over his neck and head. He would spend 3 weeks hospitalized and survived the attack. No thanks to Siegfried or Roy, who didn't even apologize for the incident. The family would sue the MGM Grand and the show's producers, but the media downplayed the entire thing, claiming Stanek was a juggler who suffered a scratch backstage. But this wasn't the only time the pair tried to change the narrative surrounding an attack. Just a year after Roy's terrifying attack on stage, he did an interview with People magazine claiming that his tiger Manticore was actually trying to save him after noticing something wasn't right. Roy believes that Manticore dragged him by the neck off stage to get help, Now, tigers are known to carry their cubs by the neck, but animal trainer Chris Lawrence doubts this was the case.
The point that I realized that things were kind of going sideways was when Roy turned Monocore around and he ended up with his face in Roy's midsection. I remember vividly thinking, here he comes.
He argues Roy was attacked because the tiger was confused. After a rushed rehearsal that night, Lawrence noticed Manticore missed his initial cue during showtime. Roy tried to improvise, which agitated the tiger. Routine is everything when it comes to training big cats.
I think his actions in trying to possibly save the routine or rectify the situation actually ended up complicating it.
Lawrence also mentioned that prior to the incident, he was scolded by both Siegfried and Roy for trying to help in their performances. The two never wanted to own up to mistakes in front of a live audience. Roy also built up the illusion that he trained all of the animals himself. Lawrence explained that as the years went on, Roy treated the cats more like props than anything else, and the level of care needed for the animals was dwindling. To maintain their image, Siegfried and Roy never wanted to admit what really happened, even years after the attack. It's important to remember that even when animals are trained, they're still animals. It's a miracle that Siegfried and Roy performed as many shows as they did without any other mishaps. Roy was truly lucky to be alive following his attack, and you'd think after such a traumatic incident, he would never want to be in a tiger's presence again, let alone the one that attacked him. But in 2009, Siegfried and Roy performed one last time, wanting their final show to be as successful as all the others leading up to the one that changed their lives forever. Although the two couldn't move as they used to, especially Roy, who was using Siegfried to maintain his balance, they still dazzled the audience. They made sure to include Manticore in their performance, showing that after all they had been through, the illusionists still trusted him. The topic of animals being held in captivity at zoos or for live performances has always been controversial. Especially after Tiger King swept the world during the 2020 pandemic, many realized how poorly big cats are treated in captivity. As for Siegfried and Roy, even after their shows finished, many of their ferocious pets were housed at an exhibition called the Secret Garden and Dolphin Habitat at the Mirage, where cubs would be taken away from their mothers shortly after birth. The dolphin habitat, well, if you can call it that, was more or less a big dingy pool. Although the pair claimed it was a conservation for the animals, many argued it was far from that, noting it was nothing like their natural habitat. It also didn't help that several dolphins died since the attraction opened, earning it the title the Dolphin Death Pool. Yikes. Since 1990, when it first opened, 12 of the pool's 22 dolphins unfortunately died. With scheduled performances required from the dolphins almost daily, it's believed their deaths could be attributed to the stressful and unnatural environments they were placed in. The Mirage shut down the exhibition in 2022 after receiving a ton of pushback from organizations like PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. It's clear that animals in captivity, especially show animals, can be pushed to a breaking point. This poor guy getting dragged away is Mike Hodge, a lion conservationist and sanctuary owner who never would have expected his friendly lion, Shamba, to turn on him.
And as all I can remember was a big paw in front of my face. And I passed out.
Mike's just one of many victims of wild cat attacks around the world. Lions, tigers, cougars, and leopards all have one thing in common. They love to hunt. It's in their nature, and you could be their next breakfast.
I mean, he just reached up and grabbed my bag and just brought me down.
Whether it be their strength, surprise attacks, or killer instinct, facing any of these beasts is a recipe for disaster. While many encounter these big cats safely at a zoo or on safari, this isn't the case for everyone. In some areas of India, leopards are an everyday threat, even in densely populated villages, and they are not afraid of us. Or if you live on the West Coast in North America, cougars have been known to show up in people's backyards, going after pets, and even children. Unfortunately, many have fallen prey to these masterful hunters, surviving more than just a scratch.
So his upper fangs, one broke my nose, the other went into my upper lip, and the lower fangs went into my cheek. And as he closed down his grip, it was like a hot knife through butter.
Where his teeth went into my neck, it grazed the main artery in my neck.
Today we'll look at some of the most unsettling wildcat attacks and tell you what you need to know to survive them. What big cat has killed the most people? What should you do if you encounter a cougar on your bicycle? And why shouldn't you turn your back on a tiger? This terrifying incident happened at Marakili Animal Sanctuary, a wilderness haven housing lions and tigers. Located in Tabazimbi, South Africa, Mike Hodge and his wife Chrissy founded the sanctuary in 2010. Unsurprisingly, Hodge felt very comfortable around these animals, including Shamba, a lion he had raised since it was a cub. But when he went to investigate a strange smell inside Shamba's cage, which appeared to be irritating the 10-year-old lion, things took a turn for the worse.
Somebody help, please! He's gonna go! Please! Shamba!
While Mike looked around, a fellow ranger did their best to distract Shamba so he could leave the lion's enclosure safely, a standard protocol. However, this time, Shamba was more interested in Mike, who was just a few feet away from the enclosure's door with his back exposed. One of the most important things to avoid when coming into contact with a lion is to turn your back. This puts you in a vulnerable position and is a prime opportunity for the lion to strike. Unfortunately, that's exactly what Shamba did. In an instant, he pounced and dug his teeth into Mike's neck, dragging him away like a rag doll. Luckily, Mike wasn't alone. In the heat of the moment, Shamba was shot and killed. Mike was then airlifted to a hospital in Johannesburg. He suffered a broken jaw and several lacerations. Thankfully, he was able to recover from his injuries, but the loss of the animal, which nearly took his life, is what affected him the most. If you encounter a lion, you should stay calm and stand your ground. As you can see from Mike's situation, running away will increase your likelihood of being pounced on. And given that lions can run up to 50 miles per hour, you won't stand a chance in this race. In a situation where a lion does attack, you'll want to protect your neck, as they tend to go for the kill before eating their prey. Fighting back and attacking their face is your best bet. But grown lions can weigh up to 570 pounds, so good luck. On average, lions kill between 200 and 250 people every year. And that's based on the deaths we know about. Being aware of your surroundings is your best bet to avoid an attack in the first place, but that's not always an option, especially when you're dealing with mountain lions, aka cougars.
Right away, things started to go black, and I knew, this is basically the end of my life. I remember working at Debbie, basically saying goodbye to my friend, this is it, and I blacked out.
For Aniela, what started as a peaceful bike ride in California turned into the worst day of her life. Anne is a former Marine and personal trainer who loves to exercise and the outdoors. After being stationed in California, Anne quickly fell in love with the state and decided to plant her roots. She also found a new hobby, mountain biking. This is how she met her husband, James, and made plenty of new friends. One of those friends, Debbie Nichols, is credited with saving her life. In January 2004, Anne and Debbie decided to head out on a familiar trail in Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park in California. It was the same park they met at years before. While on their ride, Anne saw a man standing next to an abandoned bike. When she checked to see if everything was alright, the man told her he had found the bike, but no rider. Anne thought he must be pulling some kind of prank on her. It was a nice, expensive-looking bike, not one someone would just abandon. Anne and Debbie shrugged it off and decided to continue down the trail. Moments later, the unthinkable happened. Off to the side, Anne noticed something moving in the bushes. She thought maybe she had scared a deer.
I felt a very strong impact. I felt the animal grab a hold of me, and I knew right away, this is no deer.
In the blink of an eye, a 110-pound cougar pounced on her, knocking her off her bike. As Debbie turned the corner, she found Anne on the ground, being viciously attacked. In an effort to save her friend, she threw her bike at the cougar. The The determined cougar dragged Anne 30 feet to a nearby ravine with a tight grip around her neck. Debbie grabbed Anne's legs in desperation, hoping she'd be able to break free from the cougar's jaws, but to no avail.
I found myself gasping for air. I had no idea what had happened, how the lion was now gone. All I know is I'm choking, I can't get any air, and I realize I'm actually choking in my own blood.
Luckily, nearby bikers heard their screams for help. They threw rocks at the cougar, one of which hit the back of its neck. This was enough to tick it off and release Anne from its grasp. Anne was in really bad shape, with severe injuries to her neck and face. She was airlifted to hospital where she underwent 6 hours of reconstructive surgery.
I have 20 plus bite wounds to my neck, and yet carotid artery, jugular vein, esophagus, voice box, none of these things are hit.
According to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, there have been 25 documented cougar attacks in the state since 1986, 4 of which were fatal. And one of those fatal attacks occurred the same day that Anne nearly lost her life. It turns out the abandoned bike belonged to Mark Jeffrey Reynolds, a 35-year-old competition cyclist who sadly was killed by the same cougar just 4 hours before her attack. Cougars are known for ambushing their prey when they least expect it. Their stealth is also enhanced by their agility, with powerful hind legs that help them jump up to 18 feet. This makes surviving an attack much more difficult. But, like in Anne's case, it's still possible. For starters, you'll want to be aware of any areas known to be hotspots for cougars. Avoid going on hikes or bike trails alone, as there is always strength in numbers. And if you do come across one, keep your distance. Usually cougars will do their best to avoid us, but if one appears interested in you, do your best to appear big, make loud sounds, and wave your arms around to scare it. Kinda like this. If you're on a bike, don't try to speed off quickly, as this may lead to a chase. Instead, slowly walk away from the cougar while keeping your eyes on it. If it does attack, fight back as hard as you can. Aim for its eyes and nose while protecting your neck. If you have a weapon, use it. Otherwise, find a blunt object like a rock or a stick to fight back with. Anne has since returned to the trail, facing her fears and reminding herself that the odds of being attacked again are statistically low. Authorities managed to track down and kill the cougar that attacked her. While Anne encountered the cougar out in the wild, attacks can still happen close to home. As one of the most prevalent species of wildcat in North America, especially out west, they have been known to show up in residential areas. Keep a close eye on your kids and pets. They're easy targets for hungry cougars that are bold enough to venture into your backyard. It's not just the cats in the wild you need to worry about either. Zoo attacks happen more often than most people realize. We did a whole video covering that, and it might make you think twice about taking that risky selfie. But for now, let's focus on one specific zoo attack that changed this woman's life forever. Before we pounce into that story, make sure to like and subscribe for more incredible survival stories.
He bit into my head. And the next thought was, am I gonna survive this?
While attending the Feast for a Beast fundraiser at Zoo Boise in Idaho, Jan Gold got closer to a tiger than she expected. As a Friends of Zoo Boise board member, Jan had a special place in her heart for animals. So she was more than happy to help set up the fundraiser, an event to raise money to upgrade the zoo's facilities. While the fundraiser was wrapping up, Jan was part of a group that received an exclusive invitation to witness a tiger feeding. Understandably, they were excited. But as she entered the feeding area, she noticed something strange.
The last cage, the gate was wide open, and we noticed that. We just kind of, well, obviously they must know it's open.
As they got closer, Taiga, a male 600-pound Siberian tiger, walked in from outside. Jan tried to close the cage door quickly, but before she knew it, Taiga was right in front of her. She started to back away, trying not to startle him, but it didn't help that the other group members ran away screaming. Jan quickly turned around to join the others, but Taiga pounced on her, knocking her to the ground.
And he just reached up and grabbed my back and just brought me down.
The tiger bit into Jan's head, likely in an attempt to kill its prey quickly. After hearing screams, Sergeant Rich Schnebley, who was also at the event, quickly came to Jan's aid and fired his pistol to spook Taiga. At first, he backed off, but when the officer and zoo manager David Wayne approached Jan, Taiga started to move forward again. A third shot spooked him back into his cage, and it was quickly locked shut. Jan was rushed to the hospital in serious condition with lacerations to her head and back, as well as a broken leg and nerve damage. Not to mention that the officer who came to Jan's rescue nearly killed her after one of the bullets he shot ricocheted and went right into her hip.
I'm laying on the ground and I can't move from the waist down, or I can't feel anything. They didn't know if I'd walk again. I had so many nerves that were damaged because that bullet, when it hit my bone, it exploded. And so I still have lots of shrapnel in there.
Following the attack, the Boise City Council voted to pay for Jan's medical expenses, including rehabilitation for her injured leg. Jan has no hard feelings, saying it was a mistake and mistakes happen. So what did Jan do wrong in this situation?
When she turned around, she provided the framework for the tiger to see, aha, this is prey.
When facing a tiger, you'll want to try to distract it by throwing things away from you and appearing big to scare it off. Carefully step away and do not turn your back. For tigers, this is an open invitation for a chase. Unfortunately for Jan, had she not turned around at that moment, it's possible that she could have closed the cage safely. While this tiger attack happened in captivity, there have been hundreds of fatalities out in the wild. Between 2014 and 2022, nearly 500 people were killed in India alone. An even more frightening statistic is that the number has been consistently rising since 2018. Sadly, they are often due to a lack of food and humans encroaching on their territory. As for Siberian tigers, like the one that attacked Jan, they suffer more attacks from us than we do from them. Poaching and deforestation are two significant factors in the decreasing number of Siberian tigers, with humans responsible for up to 80% of their deaths. Running into a wild Siberian tiger is incredibly rare, as the endangered species is only found in Russia, China, and Korea. And with their numbers dwindling, the odds of seeing one outside of a zoo are slim to none. The same can't be said for leopards, which are known to wreak havoc on anything and everyone they can. The hunt for a leopard terrorizing a village in India was underway after it took the lives of 3 children in 4 days. The first victim was 15-year-old Munir Ahmad, who was found mauled to death on Saturday, June 11th, 2022. The next evening, a 12-year-old boy, Shahid Ahmed, went missing while he was out working with his family's cattle. Shortly after, his body was discovered with injuries consistent with a wild animal attack. Just days after the 2 boys' bodies turned up, a 10-year-old girl, Rutba Manzoor, was playing in her garden when a leopard pounced on her. Following the attacks, a team of 50 was created to find the animal and tranquilize it. If that failed, fatally shooting it was the next best option. They ventured into the woods nearby where the 2 boys were found dead. That's when they also discovered poor young Rutba's body on the forest floor. Unfortunately, leopard attacks have increased in India. There were over 2,300 between 2006 and 2022. Of those, 234 people lost their lives. As populations grow and leopards lose their natural habitats, their inability to adapt has led to more human conflicts. Whether attacking livestock or humans, when the opportunity presents itself, leopards are known for striking when their prey least expects it. With their ability to climb trees, blend into their surroundings, and agile movement, they can be a threat to anyone. To avoid being a victim of a leopard attack, plan ahead for any regions you might be visiting. They're commonly found in India, China, and parts of Africa. If you spot one in the wild, keep your distance. As always, don't run, as this signals to the predator that you're prey. If it starts to attack, aim for the eyes, nose, or other sensitive areas. Now, I know I'm repeating myself, guys, but wildcats be wildcattin'. Regardless of whether they've been raised as cubs in captivity or not, these big cats will always have a killer instinct within them. And although some of these animals like to hunt us down, the majority of the time, it's because they feel threatened. Between poaching and the loss of their natural habitat, human-animal conflicts will continue to rise. Lions kill around 200 people a year. That's more than sharks.
With one jump, I knew this thing was going to kill me.
They don't just hunt, they plan.
They'll even drag you into a hidden kill cluster, where more lions are waiting. Today we're breaking down 5 of the deadliest lion attacks, and why the victims never saw it coming. Are lions smart enough to break into your car during a safari?
We are learning more about the Westchester native who was killed this week in a lion attack.
Pulled from a vehicle despite warnings to keep windows closed.
How did a pride of lions get their revenge on a group of poachers?
Only the man's head was left next to a rifle.
And what legendary pair of lions are believed to have killed over 100 people?
The lion pair was said to have killed 135 people. Holy.
The odds of escaping a lion attack are slim, but we'll tell you what you need to know to survive one. How fast can a lion kill you? Try 5 seconds. They can hit 50 miles per hour and take down almost any prey, including crocodiles. When it's time to eat, they can inhale 80 pounds of meat in one sitting, and their roar, it carries 5 miles. There's a reason why they're called the king of the jungle. However, being top of the food chain comes at a cost. When Cecil, a 13-year-old African lion, was killed for sport by a Minnesota dentist, the internet exploded. Lions are classified as vulnerable, and some African populations are critically endangered. But trophy hunters and poachers are still out there, killing lions for bragging rights or jewelry made from their teeth and bones. In rare cases, lions get their revenge. Most attacks happen when people invade their space or provoke them. But some lions develop a taste for human flesh, like the man-eaters of Njombe in Tanzania and Tsavo, Kenya.
Where do you think you're going? I'm gonna sort it out.
We'll get to them later.
When do we start?
We just did.
Kate Chappell was 29, a rising visual effects artist who helped bring Captain America and Godzilla to life. The team she was a part of even won an Emmy for their work on Game of Thrones. When she wasn't building fantasy worlds on screen, she was fighting for real ones. In the summer of 2015, Kate was volunteering at a wildlife preserve in South Africa. Her mission? Help save endangered animals from poachers. On her day off, she took a detour, a visit to a safari park just outside of Johannesburg. The Lion and Safari Park is one of South Africa's top tourist spots. Visitors drive through lion enclosures and even hand-feed giraffes. But rules like keep your windows up?
That's a good view there, huh?
That can be the difference between a selfie and a funeral.
For the internationals, they do sometimes come here with the idea that it's a bit of a Disney World thing where these are tame lions. I think it does need to be stressed that these are still wild animals.
During her visit, Kate was riding as a passenger, taking in the view as a pride of lions roamed nearby. Her guide, Pierre Potgieter, was behind the wheel.
Our animals aren't in a zoo. They're not in cages. We in their environment.
Kate rolled down her window to grab the perfect safari shot. She didn't know it might be the last photo she'd ever take. From the car behind them, park visitor Ben Govinder snapped a photo of a lioness rearing up, paws against Kate's door as nearby cars honked to warn them something was wrong. Kate may not have seen the lioness coming. It approached from the side. But if you're wondering what that kind of behavior means, Kevin Richardson, better known as the Lion Whisperer, has a pretty good idea.
I understand that these lions in parks like this have lost their natural fear of people. These lions grow up being petted by people, and then they see vehicles, and these vehicles become a point of obsession to mitigate boredom.
An adult lioness bites down with 650 pounds of pressure per square inch. To put that in perspective, that's like 4 refrigerators crushing the same spot on your body. Unfortunately for Kate, this lioness, she lunged forward and clamped onto her shoulder. Blood dripped from her mouth as she stared at the car with Kate's windows still wide open.
Catherine Chappell was taking photos and apparently ignored the warning signs to keep windows closed at all times.
As Potgieter watched in horror, he threw himself across the car and tried to punch the lioness off her. But with a 300-pound predator inside the car, the tour guide didn't have many options.
The general advice seems to be to stand your ground. People do fight off big cats successfully, but generally speaking, you're going to need more than just your fists and hands.
Eventually, the lioness retreated. Potgieter had injured his arm trying to save Kate, but she was losing blood fast. Bleeding heavily from her neck, Potgieter did what he could, applying pressure to the wound. But by the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. It didn't take long for the news to travel back home.
We are learning more about the Westchester native who was killed this week in a lion attack.
I heard about this from a good friend from Tampa, of all places, who emailed me early this morning and saying, gee, someone from your town was just yanked from, the planet. It's just awful.
Kate's death put the park under the spotlight. Turns out it wasn't the first time someone rolled down a window at the worst possible moment. Just 2 months earlier, an Australian tourist named Brendan Smith was mauled by a lion. He survived and later admitted he never should have rolled the window down.
This kind of thing could be avoided, and it doesn't matter whether they were hand-raised lions or lions raised in captivity. They can be extremely dangerous, and people need to respect that.
As Kate's guide, Potgieter also faced criticism. Some witnesses said all the windows were down. He claimed Kate opened hers at the last moment, and he tried to fight the lioness off. The stress of the attack even gave him a heart attack. It goes without saying, if you're on a safari or even just visiting a zoo, those rules about keeping your windows up, they're there to keep you alive. As for the lioness that attacked Kate, she wasn't euthanized, but was relocated to a remote part of the park, well away from tourists. Speaking of ignoring the rules, our next story takes us to the Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve, where one teenager made a split-second decision he'd never forget. Love survival stories with teeth? Hit that like button and subscribe. There's plenty more where that came from. Dane Kaiser was 16, a high school rugby player from Pretoria, South Africa. Strong, confident, and no stranger to lions. In Pretoria, lions aren't just something you see in books. There are at least 5 lion parks and reserves within a short drive of the city. On this day, Dane was at the Rhino and Lion Nature Reserve with his mom and his girlfriend. They weren't just tourists. His mom was dating the center's curator, and Dane had spent time behind the scenes with the animals. The reserve sits near the South African city of Krugersdorp and is home to some of the world's rarest big cats, including the legendary white lion. Their pale coat comes from a unique recessive gene, and there are only about 15 of them left in the wild. To impress his girlfriend, Dane led her to the white lion enclosure, which was off limits to the public. He leaned in, reached through the fence, and stroked a lioness's ear. Big mistake, especially before feeding time.
He screamed, "Help me, Mom." And then he went very quiet.
The lioness clamped down on Dane's foot and didn't let go. Then, she latched onto his arm. In just seconds, he was yanked under the fence like a chew toy.
I knew this thing was going to kill me.
In that sort of environment, really, you are very much prey if you end up on the wrong side of a big predator like an African lion.
Dane was now completely trapped inside the enclosure, and 3 of the 5 lions had a hold on him. Their combined weight, more than 1,300 pounds of pure muscle, teeth, and instinct. There was no outrunning this.
I cannot tell you how frustrating and how pathetic and small I felt standing on that side. That you cannot help him. And he's laying there, and there's 3 huge lions on top of your child.
The lions hadn't eaten yet, making them even more aggressive. But their sharp teeth weren't the only concern for Dane.
A lion's claw and the sort of tissue damage that you can get even from a playful swipe, life-changingly devastating.
As Dane fought to get free, the 3 lions were shredding him relentlessly. He had gashes everywhere and was losing blood.
I don't know if it's because of the shock or adrenaline. I couldn't see any color at all. It was all black and white.
Then, something changed. One of the lions let go, and right beside him, an object caught his eye.
Somehow I got up when the exact same time when he wasn't off me. I don't know how or why, but a stick lay next to me and I picked it up. I turned my back and started moving towards the fence.
Dane raised the stick and smacked the lion. Hard. To his shock, it backed off. For now, he had space.
The lion could have taken me out anytime. With one jump, I would have been gone.
Somehow, Dane made it back to the fence. He didn't run and never turned his back. Dane's instincts in that moment were solid. If you're ever face to face with a lion, don't run. That only invites them to chase you. Back away slowly and keep your eyes on them. And if you've got something to swing, use it. That stick Dane found probably saved his life. He was rushed to the hospital with deep gashes to his calves, thighs, arms, shoulders, and chest. Doctors said he lost 3 inches of muscle from his leg, like someone had taken an ice cream scoop to it.
If you recover from it, the chances of getting infection is virtually 100%. So you've got all of that on top of it. It's a very serious thing. It's not just a sort of little scrape.
Lucky for Dane, he survived, but just barely. Later, the reserve confirmed Dane ignored safety protocols despite knowing the lions were dangerous. He went to the enclosure before feeding time and paid the price. The lions weren't put down. The park was kept under close watch and the curator was suspended during the investigation. Our next story, this time the victim wasn't a tourist or a teenager. It was a poacher, and the lions found him first. South Africa's Kruger National Park is 5 million acres of raw wilderness.
This land holds great beauty.
It's home to some of the most protected animals on Earth. But that protection comes at a price.
South Africa is to move 500 rhinos from the iconic Kruger National Park to combat an increase in poaching. As many as 408 rhinos have been killed for their horns in the Kruger National Park this year alone.
Poaching rhinos is a national crisis in South Africa and classified as a national priority crime. It's also extremely dangerous. On April 1st, 2019, 5 suspected poachers broke into the park on foot. Their target? Rhinos. Their motive? Horns, selling for nearly the same price as gold. Before they found a rhino, though, they ran into something else. An elephant. And it wasn't in the mood to share its turf. According to the poachers who escaped, one of them was trampled to death on the spot. They carried his body to the road hoping someone would find it, but it wasn't the kind of someone they were expecting. A lion pride stumbled across the free meal and didn't let it go to waste. The next morning, rangers launched a search. They didn't find a body, just a skull, pants, and abandoned poacher's gear. 4 of the survivors were later arrested for poaching and possession of illegal firearms. Park rangers called the attack tragic, but also a harsh reminder. A nearly identical incident happened just 1 year earlier.
Only the man's head was left next to a rifle. The alleged poacher was found near South Africa's Kruger National Park.
Call it the circle of life, call it karma, call it whatever you want. But some African lions got their revenge on a trio of poachers in South Africa. The 3 men snuck into a South African game reserve to illegally hunt rhinos.
Nearly 10,000 rhinos have been killed in South Africa since 2008, but conservation efforts are starting to turn things around. That's why respecting their habitat matters. Not just for them, but for your safety. Those trespass signs, they're not suggestions. Especially at night, you're a walking steak on a platter. If you think those poachers didn't stand a chance against man-eating lions, wait till you hear what 2 lions did in a construction camp in Tsavo, Kenya. Our next story, it's the jaws of lion attacks.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
A real-life horror so infamous it inspired a movie, and countless more like it. In 1898, 2 lions brought construction on the Uganda Railway to a screeching halt. Thousands of terrified workers refused to continue. Not because of a flood or a war. Just 2 lions. Over 9 months in Kenya's Tsavo region, 2 lions dragged workers from their tents and devoured them. Guards, thorn fences, and campfires couldn't stop them. At one point, nearly every campfire came with a body count.
The 2 man-eating lions attacking the camps at night were sending terror and chaos into the heart of this carefully orchestrated engineering operation.
The railroad project was collapsing. The death toll, astronomical.
The lion pair was said to have killed 135 people. Holy.
That's when Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Patterson took matters into his own hands. Several of his men had died trying to stop the lions, but after weeks of failed traps and near-death ambushes, Patterson finally killed them both. So why did these lions hunt humans? Some blame a viral outbreak that wiped out their usual food supply. Others point to a bad tooth, making it hard for it to hunt, so we turned to easier prey. Another theory? Tsavo lions scavenged human corpses for years, developing a taste that stuck. And Tsavo wasn't the only place this happened. Lions have stalked and eaten humans elsewhere, including in Njombe, Tanzania, where one pride reportedly killed over 1,500 people. And according to ecologist Adam Hart, There's even evidence lions set their sights on drunk men.
Yes, so this was some stories from Tanzania where lions very much targeting drunk men coming back from drinking taverns and so on, walking through the bush, emitting a very distinctive smell, very predictable pattern of behavior. Similarly, people going out to use the toilets.
Scientists have studied Tsavo lion skulls, teeth, and even the hair trapped in their broken canines. The results? They ate zebra, wildebeest, giraffe, and humans. Lots of humans. The Tsavo lions are behind one of the most terrifying predator stories ever. 2 lions, dozens dead, nothing like it has happened since. Lion attacks don't just happen deep in the wild. In this episode alone, 3 people were mauled in parks, reserves, and controlled habitats. Why? Because they broke simple rules, or got too comfortable. From safari windows to zoo exhibits, being careless can turn a safe space into a kill zone. And if you ever find yourself walking through remote lion country, you want more than your favorite sunglasses and a selfie stick.
Photos show a victim's bandaged head and ear after he was mauled by a black leopard.
It held me and it started biting and it started vigorously shaking his neck.
Leopards are fast, strong, and known to ambush their prey. With a significant population in India, locals in leopard country do their best to coexist with the big cat. But sometimes, in rare circumstances, their worlds collide. How did a leopard end up running through a school campus? Why did a man pay to be in a cage with a leopard? And how did a single leopard kill 150 people in just 2 years? Stick around as we look at some of the most insane leopard incidents in modern history. Leopards are found across Asia, but one country is known for having more than others. With an estimated population of 14,000 in India, it's no surprise that confrontations between leopards and locals happen. However, in recent years, these run-ins have become more common. Deforestation, urbanization, and population growth are the driving forces behind this, leading to attacks in half of the country's states. In an effort to adapt, leopards have been known to attack livestock and house pets. And in very rare instances, humans, if they get in their way. This especially puts children and the elderly at risk. Protecting the young isn't as simple as having them play indoors, especially when leopards are finding their way inside schools.
Sheer terror as this leopard leaves men running from its path at a school in the southern city of Bangalore.
In 2016, an 8-year-old leopard was captured on camera roaming around the halls of a school in Bangalore, India. The city is in the state of Karnataka, which is known for having the 3rd largest leopard population in the country. Around 5:30 a.m., a security guard spotted the wild cat and immediately called the police. Thankfully, this happened on a Sunday, so it wasn't a threat to any children or students. After hours of searching and no signs of the predator, officials responding to the call thought it had run off back into the nearby forest, where it likely came from in the first place. That is, until it was spotted in a bush behind the school around 3:30 p.m. While attempting to capture the animal, it ran back into the school. This time, officials were able to lock it in a bathroom. No one was injured, and disaster was averted. Or so everyone thought. Leopards are clever, and this specific one found its way into the school's ventilation system, eventually ending up outside again. This time it was by a swimming pool, and wasn't going down without a fight. The man being attacked by the pool is Dr. Sanjay Gubi, a wildlife biologist and the program head at Holamati Nature Foundation. We spoke with him about his terrifying encounter.
While I was walking back, I lost my control and I fell back. And in 2 leaps, the leopard was on me now. Fraction of a second, the leopard is on me. It's clawing my tummy, it's clawing my arm. My right arm has already started bleeding. It clawed 4 places, very deep injuries. Now I wanted to protect my neck, so I try, and it comes and holds on to my arm. It bit through my muscles and crushed my bones. That's when I really heard the bones crushing. That's when I felt the pain.
Cornering a leopard is a recipe for disaster. When they feel threatened, they have no problem clawing their way out of any situation. Running from a leopard is also a big no-no, since they can reach speeds up to 36 miles per hour. Yeah, even Usain Bolt can't outrun one of these things.
I'm sure any Olympian would have been defeated that day. So I saw a few people scooting, ahead of me, and then I was running, and then I found a gate. I tried to jump out of the gate, but the gate was very tall, about 15 feet, and there was no support, but it had spikes on the top of the gate. And that's when, for a fraction of a second, my entire family came in front of my eyes,
After enduring several bites to his butt and arm, the leopard came off Dr. Gooby. The veterinarian on scene shot the leopard with a tranquilizer, but it would take another 20 minutes for the sedative to kick in. When it was finally safe to do so, the leopard was caged and removed from the school grounds. In total, 6 people were injured throughout the 10-hour capture mission, including Dr. Gooby and a cameraman working for a local news station. Luckily, for Dr. Gooby, he remembered to carry his phone that day, and it wasn't just a call that helped save his life.
Then I realized I'd kept my phone on my upper pocket on the left-hand side. I always zip it up. It had bitten there, and my heart was saved because of the mobile phone.
Absolutely incredible. As for Dr. Gooby, he believes the leopard was fighting for survival just as much as he was.
It was just an accident. The animal had no evil intentions. It was just an accident. Imagine yourself if you were put in between hundreds of leopards, how scared you would be. That's the situation my accident happened.
The leopard was transported to a Bangalore zoo, where it was going to be treated. But this cat clearly liked its freedom.
A male leopard captured on the grounds of a school in southern India last week has escaped once again. A state wildlife spokesman says eyewitnesses saw the leopard jump over the fences of the Bangalore Zoo where it was being held.
This was the first leopard sighting in the area since 2012, but it definitely wasn't the last run-in villagers had with leopards. In 2024, a 50-year-old woman was harvesting grass for her livestock about 31 miles from where the school incident happened when a leopard pounced on her. Nearby farmers heard her cries for help, but when they came to her aid, the leopard showed aggression toward them. Eventually, they found her body decapitated and partially eaten. Now, keep in mind, this is incredibly rare and, unfortunately, is likely the result of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Leopards feed on a wide variety of wild animals. Research says they feed on about 200 species of wild animals, but certainly not people. It's not truly on their menu list.
Officials believe the leopard mistook the woman for prey as she was squatting down. What an awful tragedy. Leopards usually hunt in the evening, making them tough to spot. All in all, when visiting any town or country known for leopards, you should be aware of your surroundings, regardless of whether it's day or night.
Best thing is to avoid walking around in leopard habitats at night times. So be calm, don't panic, and don't run away. Stay where you are. You're seeing a leopard. So know where the leopard is. Keep your eyes on the leopard and quietly walk back. Slowly walk back, but keep your eye on the leopard. That's the best thing to do. The leopard will also walk away. And I'll tell you very honestly, leopards are afraid of us, more afraid of us than we are afraid of leopards. Right. They're also very shy animals. They don't like to interact with people much. If they see people, they would like to walk away.
In the same region as the school leopard attack, another leopard went on a rampage in Karnataka in 2022. As you can see, this poor biker is simply going about his day when a leopard comes out of nowhere and pounces at him. A forest ranger attempted to distract the leopard by throwing rocks at it, but that only angered it more, prompting another attack. With strength in numbers, nearby villagers were eventually able to capture the leopard with their bare hands. Survival tip? Don't ever try to do that. Eventually, the forest department arrived and tranquilized the leopard. They then placed it in a cage and relocated it. When all was said and done, the biker and the forest ranger were taken to hospital with minor injuries. Thankfully, there wasn't a leopard walking the halls of the hospital. I mean, that'd be crazy, right? Okay, it wasn't a hospital, but in January 2021, a leopard was roaming the halls of a medical college. Maybe it was a test for future doctors to learn how to treat victims of a leopard attack while avoiding an attack themselves. The college was also located in Karnataka, which seems to be a hotspot for leopard attacks. Deadly encounters became such a regular occurrence that the state government announced it would compensate the families of victims of leopard attacks and formed a special unit to catch leopards coming from nearby forests. But leopards in this region are also victims of deforestation. As more people take over the land, they get pushed further and further into our backyards. In February 2023, a 1-year-old leopard fell into a well and needed to be rescued.
The survival is dependent on two things. One is food, the second one is cover. Adult male leopards requires about 4 kg of meat a day, and it should be able to access that kind of protein every day. That's why it's also able to survive in human dense areas, because it doesn't have so much of food demand, unlike a tiger, which will require about 20-30 kgs of meat a day. The leopard, because of its body size, smaller body size, and adaptability to stay in any kind of habitat, right from scrubland to rainforest, and its tolerance to humans and its ability to survive on small prey makes it adaptable in human dense areas.
By now, you can clearly see how dangerous leopards truly are. So why would someone ever pay to play with one? Because he's a Florida man. That's why.
FWC's report says once the man walked inside the enclosure, the leopard attacked. The injuries so severe, the report says the man's scalp was hanging from his head and his right ear was torn in half.
In August 2020, Dwight Turner paid for a full contact experience with a black leopard, which included playing with it, rubbing its belly, and taking pictures. Michael Poggi was the man behind the operation, and to no surprise, he lives in Florida. Poggi claimed to run an animal sanctuary out of his backyard, which seems a little sketchy if you ask me. Sure enough, the second Turner entered the leopard's enclosure, he was attacked. And it wasn't just a few scratches.
Going for the jugular, took his head in his mouth. Cut from here across, the ear was pretty much removed.
If you ever find yourself being attacked by a leopard, you'll want to fight with everything you have. Aim for their sensitive spots, like their eyes or snout. Protect your neck, as that's where they try to bite down to go for the kill. Turner is lucky he was able to walk out of the cage alive. In a statement to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, Turner's wife, who was with him during the attack, claimed she had to hold his scalp in place after it was hanging off of his head. His ear was also torn in half. After being rushed to the hospital, Turner underwent 2 surgeries and required 22 staples to put him back together. Aside from the surgeries, Turner also had a bacterial infection and was expected to have migraines and permanent neurological damage. Jeez, all of this just from trying to cuddle with a leopard? There are plenty of cats that could use a good cuddle, just not in my bunker. I'm more of a dog guy myself. Going back to the animal sanctuary owner, Michael Poggi, he admitted he knew what he was doing was illegal, and even though he had Turner sign a waiver, it wasn't going to hold up in court. The FWC issued Poggi 2 misdemeanors, one for allowing full contact with an extremely dangerous animal, and the other for maintaining captive wildlife in an unsafe condition, causing extensive damage. In October 2020, he was officially charged. Poggi pleaded guilty in February 2021. His sentence? 6 months probation. Technically, he was in legal possession of the leopard, paperwork and all, but PETA was quick to point out why he should no longer have that right. In an attempt to get Poggi's license revoked, PETA's Associate Director of Captive Animal Law Enforcement, Michelle Sinat, sent a strongly worded letter to the United States Department of Agriculture's Director of Animal Welfare Operations. It's unclear if they moved forward with that, and there's no information regarding the black leopard's current status. At the time, other big cat owners who had more reputable sanctuaries weren't too thrilled.
This guy just created a lot of problems for all of us that have big cats and exotic animals, and it's not deserved for the rest of us.
If the survival tip here isn't already obvious, don't ever get into cages with leopards, and never pay to do that. Are you kidding me? You'd have to pay me to do that, and it'd take enough money for my family to be good for generations. In India, though, brave rescue workers deal with leopards on a regular basis, and let's just say things don't always go as planned. In April 2014, wildlife activist and rescue worker Bandu Dotre was called to Balapur, Maharashtra because of a wild leopard. The big cat gave Dotre the scare of a lifetime. Known for his numerous rescue missions involving wild animals, Dotre is well versed in capturing leopards. What he didn't realize was how high this particular one could jump. It's believed the leopard was trying to feed on livestock and made its way into a home. After covering the entire house with a net to ensure locals were no longer in harm's way, Dautre started to remove tiles from the roof. His plan was simple: shoot the leopard with a tranquilizer and remove it safely. It seems the leopard had a different idea in mind. On average, leopards can jump 10 feet vertically and about 20 feet forward. This leopard, clearly frightened and more athletic than most, burst through the roof, jumping 14 feet off the ground. Speaking on the incident, Dautre explained, "I had never thought a leopard could make a straight jump this high. When it came onto the roof, it targeted me, and even though I ran to safety, the animal was perhaps faster." After a 4-hour struggle, with the help of the forest department, Dautre was able to capture the leopard with a net and then tranquilize it. Authorities believe it came from the nearby Todoba and Hari National Park. Thankfully, Dautre only suffered minor injuries, and the team released the leopard into the wild shortly after. Now, leopards on roofs aren't as uncommon as you think. In April 2017, another incident occurred when a man attempted his best action movie roof jump. The man in that video is Forest Ranger BJ Kanita. He was called to a home in an eastern village, also in the state of Maharashtra, after a leopard attack was reported. Yet again, a leopard found its way into a family's cowshed, clearly looking for its next meal. When the family's 16-year-old was making his way to the shed, the leopard attacked him. Fortunately, the boy only suffered minor cuts to his back and hands. As we saw from the Florida story, leopards can be vicious. This leopard wasn't going down without a fight. While Kanita was attempting to capture the leopard, it made its way to the roof, where he was already positioned. This is one of those fight-or-flight situations where both options seem terrible. In Kanita's case, both he and the leopard chose flight. Luckily for Kanita, the fall wasn't too high and no bones were broken. The leopard dashed away through the village. After a 12-hour hunt for the wild cat, officials were able to capture it. Reports claim the leopard attacked a few animals in the village while authorities were hunting for it. Both Kanita and the 16-year-old were taken to the hospital to be treated for their wounds. After getting bandaged up, Kanita was all smiles after suffering injuries to his eye and the palm of his hand. Unfortunately, not all stories involving leopards end with smiles. Leopard and human conflicts aren't anything new. It's estimated that between 1875 and 1912, around 12,000 people were killed in India. One leopard, in particular, is believed to be responsible for killing 150 women and children over just 2 years in what's now known as Madhya Pradesh. Back in the early 1900s, the area was the central provinces of British India, and one leopard became a terrifying nightmare and a legend. The leopard of the central provinces, also known as the devilish cunning panther, was a killing machine. Taking villagers by surprise, this leopard was rumored to kill every 2 to 3 days, sometimes traveling more than 30 miles between kills. An unknown British hunter heard about the situation and took it upon himself to put an end to the terror. After setting up headquarters in a large village and searching for 3 weeks without any leads, he was about to move on. Then, a boy told him the leopard had taken his brother. The hunter followed the boy to his brother's body and set up in a nearby tree, armed and ready, assuming the leopard would return for its kill. And he was right. Unfortunately, it was nighttime and he couldn't get a clean shot. He then moved to another camp 10 miles away, where he was allegedly woken up by the leopard scratching at his tent. Before things escalated, the leopard ran off, thanks to villagers screaming and scaring it away. Just 3 days later, the leopard attacked a farmer's goats and was fatally shot by him. Inside its stomach was what was thought to be human hair. While it could have been another leopard, the townsfolk were confident that they had finally killed the devilish cunning panther.
There was a subspecies of leopards called Panthera pardus stockenbergi. Stockenbergi, the subspecies, used to hunt people, and it used to hoist the carcass of the people over on the tree and feed on it. So it's not a new phenomena for leopards to hunt people, but not in the modern times. Right. Humans are not on the menu card of leopards at all.
Well, thank goodness for that. Won't stop me from having nightmares though. As India's population continues to grow and deforestation rapidly destroys leopards' natural habitats, conflicts between the two will inevitably increase. Poaching is also a concern for the leopard population. Although India has strict laws to protect it, not everyone abides by the rules. The Wildlife Protection Society of India has reported that more than 4,300 leopards were killed between 1995 and 2017. Some were poached for their body parts, while others were taken out by farmers and villagers, fearing for the safety of their livestock. The good news is that India's leopard population has significantly increased since the 1960s, when it was less than 7,000. And as important as they are for the ecosystem and keeping things in check, they're also deadly. As we continue to expand and grow as a civilization, are we prepared to handle what comes with the territory?
That wildlife are such a critical part of human survival as well. It's 1 in a billion chance that you get, 1 in a million chance that you get attacked by a wild animal like this. Your chance of encountering a leopard to that kind of situation is very low. In my state, I think about 5 people die annually due to leopard attacks, but every day on the streets of India, there are like thousands of people dying, or at least hundreds of people dying on the streets of India due to vehicular accidents. So the chance of being encountered by a leopard and being so grievously injured is very, very small actually. So be very comforted that this is not going to happen in our lifetimes.
Well, that's comforting to know. But India is also home to tigers, and if they start creeping into villages, things can go from bad to worse in the blink of an eye. In just seconds, a tiger attack can leave you fighting for your life. And you don't have to be out in the wild for it to happen. Just ask Summer Stevens, a sanctuary worker who nearly lost her arm. We did a video covering some of the deadliest tiger attacks in human history, so be sure to check that out next. We'll see you next time on How to Survive.